Welcome back, valued viewers. Here we are again looking at some interesting news coming out today from the Mail Online. And what are we looking at? We're saying we get fired, and they hire a 38-year-old beauty queen. I can't believe they're talking about Camille Vasques like this. It's outrageous. Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasques, a person with a law degree and training in the law, is not classed as just a beauty queen. Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camille Vasques, is getting cold shoulder from NBC staffers, furious that she was hired amid huge layoffs. I'm not sure they're huge layoffs. We'll come to that in a second. I don't know who this person is up here. So what are we looking at? We're saying Camille Vasques is said to be not getting along well with her colleagues at NBC. Well, it is a left-wing organisation. This is one of the major problems with it. And they're not going to go all guns blazing on someone who helped out a man in a defamation trial against accusations from a woman. Because it goes against the left-wing narrative. But anyway, let's have a little look. Famed lawyer Camille Vasques is apparently not getting along well with her new colleagues at NBC. The attorney, who gained national attention for representing actor Johnny Depp in his defamation trial against AH, was hired by NBC as an on-air legal analyst last month. And what could be wrong with that? I mean, she's highly competent, highly experienced. She's in the news recently. She's well known. I mean, she's a perfect hire for the company as an on-air legal analyst. I mean, what could be better? At around the same time, though, NBC Universal started laying off journalists in almost every division. I see. Now, Radar Online reports Vasques is not popular amongst her new co-workers, who question how the network found the money to pay the celebrity attorney. The network realised that this woman could bring in ratings and viewership, and they're worried that the left-wing news is actually not as popular as it used to be, and so they're trying to change direction, in my personal opinion. Poor Camille arrived at precisely the wrong time. An unnamed source, you've got to love those, told the outlet. The week she arrived, double digits of workers were fired. Yet NBC found the money to hire a 38-year-old beauty queen. That is outrageous way of describing Camille Vasques, who is a partner in a law firm, a specialist attorney in terms of litigation. She's head and co-chair of the reputational division of Brown Rudnick law firm. She's not just a beauty queen. That's just reductive and very rude. It's just rude and incorrect as well, especially coming from journalists, as if journalists were some sort of pinnacle of intelligence and education and qualifications. I mean, they do English language degrees, most of which is just watching videos in class, and she does law. So, I mean, it's not even pot calling kettle black. It's people who have got English degrees challenging people who have got law degrees and legal experience and courtroom experience, and then calling them beauty queens. Rude. That's what that is. The unnamed source, yeah, I bet it is. The unnamed cowardly source went on to suggest that if Vasques had not represented Depp in the televised trial, she would not have been hired. Well, precisely. She became very famous through that trial, and people are hired based on their popularity, especially on news networks, for sure. Camille wouldn't have been booked as a guest, wouldn't have even been booked as a guest before working for Johnny Depp. Now she's on the staff, and folks around the office are mad, says the unnamed source, biting her nails in jealousy and anger. In fact, I'm sure that's a her. In fact, her employment at NBC comes just 7 months after she successfully defended the 59-year-old in the defamation case against his ex-wife. Indeed so. After the trial concluded at the end of June, Depp was awarded, we know how much he was awarded, yes. She then made her debut on NBC's Today Show on January 9th, discussing the recent Idaho College student murders. Host Hoda Kotb introduced her as NBC News legal analyst before asking Vasques about her thoughts on how social media and internet sleuths might affect the case, something she is pretty familiar with following the attention that the Depp and AH case received. Exactly so. They're talking about these 75 layoffs. If we can go back to hear what they call double-digit layoffs, as they're saying, huge layoffs, they're saying. Universal started laying off journalists in almost every division. I was looking at how many people were laid off, and it seems it's 75. So 75 people were laid off or fired, but this is out of a workforce of 3,500. So this isn't, I mean, in terms of percentages, this is not a huge layoff. This is a very, very small percentage. If we have 75 people and then we divide that by 3,500, that'll give us 0.021. We multiply that by 100 to make it a percentage. It's 2.1% of the workforce has been laid off. 2%. So it's not a gigantic cutting swathe. 75 out of 3,500. Yeah, that is 2%. So it's a 2% cut. And it's quite interesting that the staff cuts were scattered across the news group divisions, and they were all behind the scenes employees, not on-air talent. So these are firing very specific people. So I think it's a reorganization, a refocus, perhaps a realignment in direction, rather than just a broad cutting. I mean, it's only 2% anyway. So as they're trying to say up here, double digits of workers were fired. 2%, 2% of things, and yeah, quite interesting. But the hostility to her is quite interesting. It's either jealousy or it's a left-wing bias, and I would say it's probably a left-wing bias against her. That's my personal opinion about the whole thing. Let's have a little look. She's introduced as the legal analyst, and she's talking about the Depp and AH case, which is something that's really captivated the country. She said, in fact, the whole world. She said of the death of 4 young women who were killed in Moscow, in Idaho. Oh, that was something else entirely, on November 13th. And so people want to talk about the evidence. They want to talk about the human impact. I think it could be helpful to investigators. They pleaded to the public and asked for information about the suspects, the car. And it will also be harmful when you start naming someone. So here she's talking about the dangers of internet sleuthing. I mean, it can be good and it can be bad, as pretty much everything is good and bad. So yeah, she continues to work in law firm Brown Rudnick. She is co-chair of the Brand and Reputational Management Group. She's a partner at the law firm as well. She is not just a beauty queen. That's just reductive, rude, and if it was said by a man, that'd be incredibly sexist, but I would assume it's a woman. So I would say it's jealousy and left-wing bias. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts. Is that what women face if they're not fitting in with the left-wing bias accusations? This is her parents there. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. And yeah, it's not great.